Well, we are at the witching hour, so we have a lot to cover. Let's jump in. Um, I am I'm just so pleased with the opportunity to present this information and share it with you folks today. And we have one of my very favorite people in the world that has joined us. It's going to be a fun, full packed 45 minutes. Uh, I think it's fair to say that HubSpot is in the middle of a very profound evolution of their platform. They're really focusing on driving AI into almost all elements of the platform, both internally facing and externally facing. And that means that they're releasing new features and functionality all the time. And our guest speaker today, Guillaume, has been fantastic about keeping Integrate IQ up to speed on the latest releases. Guillaume is a strategic partner development manager at HubSpot. He's been at HubSpot for more than 9 years, and he's a professor in his spare time. There's nobody better to guide us through this discussion than Guillaume. I am delighted he's here with us, and I know you're going to enjoy him. Couple very quick housekeeping notes. We do have 45 minutes scheduled for this update. We're going to have to move through at a pretty fast pace. So I think the way to keep us moving is use the Q&A function in Zoom down on the bottom. I'll keep my eye on questions that come up during Guillaume's presentation. I'll try to jump in and either answer the question directly or interrupt Guillaume and ask him to address it. So we'll do that kind of all in real time. All right, and with that being set, Guillaume, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. So, as Tim said, my name is Guillaume. So I'm a PDM at HubSpot. So just want to be very clear here that I'm on the marketing team at HubSpot, but I work alongside our partners. Integrate IQ is one of my clients. And yeah, we figured that we would kind of break down our latest spring releases with you all. So you should be able to see my screen here, Spring Spotlight. About twice a year, obviously, we do it during the springtime, and then we have kind of the fall event end of summer with Inbound. But this is like a major moment where we drop a bunch of product releases. So I have a little deck that I'm going to walk you guys through. And what I will be doing as well is I will be from time to time be using the website that we've built for the Spring Spotlight, where our product team has put together some amazing videos, quick videos. They're about 2 minutes long, demoing some of the features I'm going to talk about with you all today. They've done a great job demoing. They have great portals set up to kind of demo the feature adequately. So watch out for that. And then please, like, as Tim said, like if you have questions, like don't hesitate, ask them away. And then I will say the last thing I'll say before I get in here, keep in mind that all the information that I'll be showing you today is in flux, right? I'm going to be talking about some things that are in public beta, some things that are in private beta. And so pricing and availability and the nuance of the feature, a lot of this stuff is sort of fluid until it's fully baked into the platform. So keep that in mind. And then yeah, and if I for whatever reason I don't know the answer to your question, that's okay. We will follow up with you individually to make sure that your answers are or your questions are answered. And then of course, if you are, if any of the product releases that we talk about are of interest to you and you want to potentially demo or trial, please talk to Tim, talk to Integrate IQ. They can kind of shepherd you through the process of exploring how to get access to some of those features. All right, with that said, let us get going here. Okay, so the way this is broken down, it's broken down by different hubs. So we're going to start with Marketing Hub as our first one here because we have a bunch of great releases in that hub. All right, so the first thing we'll talk about is journey automation. Super excited about this feature. To be clear, this is available for marketing enterprise customers, and it is currently in public beta. So you should be able, if you have the enterprise version of Marketing Hub, to go into the product section and turn on the beta for yourself if you want to play around with it. Journey automation, again, I will show a quick demo of this one, but this is an amazing new feature, which in many ways, what it does is it does kind of something that I think HubSpot has always wanted to do, which is allow us to track the journey of a contact from being kind of visitor on the website all the way to being like a marketing qualified lead. And so you might think, well, Guillaume, isn't that kind of workflows are designed for? And I would say kind of. The great thing about journey automation is it's really built for marketers to really help with marketing type activities. So as you'll see, a lot of the triggers that you're manipulating in the journey automation are really things that marketers would care about. So we're looking at, are people interacting with emails? Are they interacting with different pages? It's very geared towards marketers. The other thing that I'll say is the workflow tool over the years has become very complex, very busy, very powerful. But to me, it's almost like an operational tool to help automate a bunch of things in your portals. Journey automation is really designed to kind of get a contact and have them read certain pages and do different things in order for us to consider them qualified. You could technically build a journey in workflows, but it's a lot more complicated, right? You're going to have a lot of if-then branches, a lot of like separate workflows, working with that workflow. The great thing about journey automation, it keeps everything in one space. So I think it'll make sense when I show you the demo, but keep that in mind that it's a much more simplified and maybe much more powerful version of the workflow tool. So let's take a look at a quick demo of journey automation here. I'm going to pop into this website right here. We've tested this before, so hopefully everything's working properly. But if you cannot hear for whatever reason, please let me know. So I'm going to the marketing section here, and we're going to find journey automation right here. All right, let's listen in.
Hi, I'm Emma Goldborn, and I'm going to show you journey automation. The Workflows tool in HubSpot is incredibly powerful for automating individual marketing operations tasks, such as sending welcome emails, updating contact properties, and routing leads to sales. But for larger, more sophisticated marketing teams who are trying to plan and build end-to-end customer journeys, we've built journey automation. Let's imagine a new segment of customers are engaging with your brand. We can use journey automation to guide them from their initial touchpoint to becoming marketing qualified leads. Let's use one of our pre-built templates in journey automation. This view clearly shows at a high level the different stages or automated flows and paths that a contact can take through the journey based on their intent level. I can also clearly see the overall goal of my journey, which is to turn my contacts into qualified leads. Depending on their engagement at each stage, contacts will take the path that is most relevant to them. This view makes it really easy for me to understand the different experiences my contacts are having and make adjustments as needed. Now that we've seen the overall journey, let's zoom in on the new contact stage. We've tailored the automation building experience specifically for marketers' needs. We've removed the complexities of branching logic in workflows, making it incredibly easy to tailor your communication based on how your customers interact with your content. For example, if they showed interest in a particular product category on our website, we'll automatically send them a targeted email with relevant resources and customer success stories. This personalized follow-up shows that we care and sets the stage for a strong relationship. Now let's go back to my journey. I've taken the template and customized it to fit my needs, and I can continue to add to it as my contacts engage with it more. Now I'm ready to turn it on. Once I turn the journey on, I have access to real-time analytics. This means you can make data-driven adjustments to help drive conversion and engagement. It's all about continuous improvement. Our journey analytics allows you to pinpoint areas where you're losing leads in the funnel. For example, we can see here that 20% of my leads are dropping out at this step of the funnel. We can create targeted re-engagement campaigns to bring them back into the fold. And if you're already using our customer journey reports, this gets even better. We automatically generate those reports for each stage of the journey. You can easily dig in and explore to see exactly what's working and what's not within each stage.
So a couple things here that I want to point out as well. Again, hopefully this gives you an idea of what it's supposed to work. I love the way it connects to analytics as well. I mentioned customer journey analytics, which if you've played around with it, is not the easiest tool to use. The great thing about journey automation is as you're building your journey, it's going to essentially build that customer journey report alongside of it. And so you don't have to sort of, painstakingly build that report. It'll build for you based on the journey that you've built. The other thing that I really like is those conversion points, right? That shows you the percentage of folks that are going in one direction as opposed to another. Again, kind of possible to do this with workflows, but it's way more complicated, way more time consuming, and it's a lot more difficult to troubleshoot if something isn't working. So again, very excited about this. Please play around with it. if you have enterprise, and if you don't, maybe something it's worth picking up for this feature. But again, very exciting one. And again, I think it will help folks just an easier way to sort of map your contacts journeys. And then the other thing, keep in mind, I think there's a limit. I could be wrong on this one, but I know you can build, I think, 5 or 10. I think it's a maximum of 10 journeys as well. So keep that in mind. There is a limit to the amount of journeys that you can create.
So just before we move on, Guillaume, question
Yeah.
came in. When specifically would you want to use journeys instead of workflows?
Great question. I would, I think if your use case is I am a marketer, I am trying to map a particular journey for a contact to take from one stage to the other. So you're really trying to get, for example, a website visitor to a marketing qualified lead, or a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. Really somewhere where you are leveraging marketing content and marketing type actions to warm up and nurture that lead to another stage. That would be sort of when I would use it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I think all of us, we think from a marketing standpoint, we think about, I think we're all doing this, right? From a strategic standpoint, trying to move contacts from one stage to the next. This is how you want to use it for. It's really kind of more of I guess one thing way to look at it, this is more of a macro tool, whereas workflows is more of a micro tool to kind of do more, tactical things in regards to automation. Perfect. Love the question. All right, second feature here. This is a smaller one, lookalike list. This is in public beta as well at the enterprise level. So again, requires marketing enterprise for this particular feature. By the way, don't fret if you don't have marketing enterprise or enterprise. I have plenty of updates that just require pro. So just be patient on that one. But lookalike list, you might be familiar with that term, right? If you've ever played around with retargeting, with advertising, the ability to basically feed a list of contacts, for example, Google or Facebook, and ask the app provider to essentially generate a list of contacts that resemble the list that you've provided it. So a very common concept in the advertising space. This particular feature here is designed to essentially create lookalike lists in your own database. So similar concept, you feed the AI tool a list of contacts. For example, it might be good to give them a list of contacts that became customers recently. So for example, maybe all the folks who became customers in 2025 as an example. And then the tool will generate a list of contacts based on your CRM that have similar characteristics to the ones that you just fed into it. So it's really a way of kind of analyzing and making the most out of your existing database. So again, we'll be very clear, this will not be, taking contacts from other places. It simply looks internally at your own database. So definitely a good fit for folks who have large databases with, tens of thousands of contacts. Definitely a tool that I would recommend using. In terms of limit, I reached out to the product manager on this one. This does not use Breeze credits or anything like that because it's purely an internal tool. I believe the limit's going to be how many times they will allow you to run a lookalike list per month. And I believe, again, they're looking at around like 10 runs. I don't think it's necessarily final how they're going to impose limits on this tool, but that's what he shared with me. So I'm sharing that with you right now. But yeah, that's lookalike list. Finally, another sort of extremely requested feature over the years, and that is multi-account management. So this was in public beta, enterprise level as well. And this is really designed to, and again, I will do a video for this one. Think of multi-account management if you are the kind of business that has multiple business units. This is one way of architecting your HubSpot portal where you have one sort of parent portal that has to be at the enterprise level, right? Think of it as like a parent company. And then you have a bunch of child companies. Now, as opposed to, creating business units within that portal, you would create separate portal for those child companies and integrate them using multi-account management. And what's going to allow you to do is one, you'll be able to mirror data. So when you're in the parent company portal, you'll be able to, say you open up a particular contact record, you're able to see if that contact record exists in one of those connected portals and what type of activity they've had. So that we can easily see like, okay, we don't have much information about this person, but it looks like this child portal, this child company, they've had interactions with that contact. Maybe you can use some of that information in your outreach to that contact. So that'll be one use case. The other is the ability to easily copy assets between portals, right? So the parent company portal may have, for example, emails or lists or forms. You'll be able to very easily essentially copy those assets into those other portals, literally with a click of a button. I'm sure down the road they will add additional assets to be able to copy and paste it. So in my mind, like workflows, potentially landing pages, things of that nature will also be able to be copied. Right now, though, it's only emails, forms, and lists that can be kind of copied instantly. Again, the demo will show you guys how that looks, but that's essentially how it works. We'll watch the demo, and then I actually have a really nifty little PDF that will show you all to kind of show you the different ways that you can architect your HubSpot portal, given that we now have this new capability. All right, so let's take a look at the video together, and then we will take a look at that PDF. All right, here we go. Multi-account management. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Jake Leonard, and I'm here to demo multi-account management. Many organizations run multiple distinct businesses, each with their own business models and data, which requires a high amount of separation. This often means separate CRMs or separate HubSpot accounts. Today, we're going to run through a tool called multi-account management that enables businesses to have different CRMs, maintaining that necessary separation, but has tooling that simplifies the operations and boosts revenue by connecting data between those accounts. Let me show you how multi-account management works and why it's a game changer for organizations running multiple businesses. Let's dig into the revenue part first. Picture this. You're an organization running multiple distinct brands. You know that there is gold in the cross-sell opportunities between those brands, and you want your reps to have that data at their fingertips. That's where connected data comes in. Connected data enables data mirroring between your HubSpot accounts. Imagine your rep prepping for a prospecting call. You go in, you scroll through, and you see that this contact is actually purchased from one of your other lines of business and is connected with a rep that you know. That information enables you to go into that conversation with a clear picture of the customer, their business, and how you'll position the product, increasing the likelihood of a sale. This is how the connected data feature works within multi-account management, which enables flywheel teams to get a more complete picture of their customers. Now let's talk about saving time with simplified operations. Let's imagine you're a marketer and you're in charge of running a cross-organization marketing campaign. That means building lists, forms, and emails across each of those different accounts. With separate CRMs, you'd have to be recreating those every single time. But that's all changed with the new asset copying feature as part of multi-account management. We've now saved that marketer countless hours of time leveraging the asset copying feature as part of multi-account management on HubSpot. Multi-account management gives companies running distinct businesses the functionality to streamline operations and grow their business on HubSpot. Visit HubSpot.
So as you can see, data mirroring is really easy, and then the asset copying is really easy as well. Now, a few things that I wanted to clarify, and let me just bring up this PDF that I mentioned. I will share the PDF with Tim, and he can make it available after the webinar. But this is basically what it looks like here, and I just want to be very clear that multi-account management does not replace brands, which used to be called business units. So for those of you who not be aware, the previous way that we had, the more common way that we had would be have a single HubSpot portal broken down into different business units. And that would allow you to basically partition data and content assets within the same portal. Multi-account management essentially gives you the ability to connect separate HubSpot portal. So again, this PDF does a pretty good job at kind of giving you a checklist of questions of how to qualify and what makes the most sense for you. I think the biggest question is, do you want these businesses, these independent businesses, to operate out of the same CRM or separate CRMs? We now have a solution for both. So if you're comfortable with everybody working out of the same CRM, I would say please use brands. It used to be known as business units. If it's for whatever reason you need to keep separate portals, sometimes there are legal reasons you might want to do that, or there are business units in other countries, then I would recommend using multi-account management and keeping your portals separate. A couple of other things that are important to note about this feature, multi-account management, You do, so the parent portal needs to be enterprise, need to have enterprise, right? They need to be at least at the professional level. So you could have a situation where you have one enterprise, again, parent portal, and then a bunch of child portals that are all at the professional level. You need at least to have one professional license on it. It doesn't have to be marketing. So keep that in mind in terms of some of the limitations. And I do believe that they are currently limited the number of portals that you can sync to 5. So if you're like a multi-franchise business and you have like dozens of CRMs, probably not the best solution. But if you have 2, 3 separate businesses that you want to kind of again use this feature with, that should work. I know that was a lot, Tim. Are there questions that clarifying? Can I clarify anything on this one?
Cassidy has her hand raised. I don't have the participants here, so Cassidy, I'll ask if you could ask your question in the Q&A function, and I'll feed that to Guillaume. We do have a question, sort of a strategy question on the lookalike lists.
Yep.
And that's, how do you identify high value customer segments? Is there a property in HubSpot to flag those? At Integrate IQ, we do have a property that allows us to flag high priority leads and customers, but it's a custom property. Is there a Breeze function that you're aware of that might identify those high value customers?
There might be. I mean, ultimately, what I would say is like it really depends on how well you're using the lifecycle stages. I mean, if you are regularly using the lifecycle stage customer to denote whenever a contact moves into that stage, I think we can make a pretty educated guess that this is going to be somebody worth tracking and kind of trying to find another contact with similar attributes in your CRM. So somebody might know this. Off the top of my head, I don't know. They sounds like everything. And so by setting a brand identity, you're almost able to like teach the AI tools the right way of your brand to sound. And so you'll be asked to provide things as simple as like a logo for your individual brand, but also like how you want the tone to be like, how you want, again, how do you want to sound as a brand? And then because this Content Hub, when you use the Content Hub agent to create content, whether it's in a blog post or a landing page or an email, it will essentially draw from the brand identity that you've set in order to provide content that matches your particular brand. Now, if you go and you'll also see it goes beyond that. It also will show you have the ability to upload ideal customer profiles, ICPs, to each brand. And so you'll really be able to personalize how your brand sounds and how the AI tool is going to be able to generate content around it. And then because of the brand identity, you can do this across multiple brands, right? So if you are managing multiple brands out of a single portal, you'll be able to set a separate brand entity for each brand that you're managing. Tim, we lost you for a bit, but I'm glad you're back.
Yes, you did. My internet went down. I am now connected via my telephone.
Awesome. Very cool. You're going to have a heck of a bill next month.
Yeah, great.
But Tim, were there other questions that I missed before? I think we answered the lookalike one. Are there any others about multi-management?
No, it was just that lookalike one that was there. Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you. And sorry I dropped out there for a minute.
No worries. Okay, that's my one about Content Hub. Moving on to Sales Hub. So again, this is another one that we've been adding just a lot of features to. So this is another kind of Pro Plus update here. You don't need to have enterprise to have access to this. Is the sales workspace. So do you understand the sort of like thought process behind why we start creating workspaces inside HubSpot? What we're trying to minimize in HubSpot is clicks, right? Clickiness, if you want. One of the biggest problems with CRMs is adoption. The average CRM only has about a 50% adoption. HubSpot's closer to 80%. And we really pride ourselves in not just making a tool that works well, but that people are actually using in their day-to-day. And so the idea of these workspaces is to, instead of having reps bouncing around the portal and navigating to places maybe they shouldn't be navigating, we want to keep them in a central location. And so if you're an organization, you have a bunch of sales reps using HubSpot, really get them using the sales workspace. Again, it'll have everything they need to have. So a summary of what their day is going to look like, prospecting they're doing, the deals that they're managing, tasks that they have set for themselves. Even their schedule can be uploaded up here. And then what's really cool about the workspace is also the guided actions. And so the guided actions is, again, AI powered kind of recommendation engine. So as long as the rep is using deals and they're using tasks, they're kind of using the CRM the way it's meant to be used, guided actions will essentially give recommendations to reps about what they need to do. So for example, you can say, hey, there's a deal that's been open for, I don't know, 200 days. Maybe it's time to give it some attention, right? And so it gives you, again, a sense of like, it guides you to what you're supposed to do next. So another kind of nifty way that AI has been incorporated in HubSpot. So play around with the sales workspace. Of course, we've got a customer success workspace. We've got the help desk as well. So you'll see more of this. But again, we want sales reps to be working in here. They don't need to be logging into the CRM. They can stick to the leads and the contacts that they manage themselves. So that's the sales workspace. All right, moving over to more broadly the CRM. This is a massive change. HubSpot fought that for many years to allow us to do this, but it's finally here. You can now formally rename HubSpot objects. Now, if you don't really know what we mean by an object, think of objects as essentially, you think of them as like little databases, right, for records. So contacts, companies, tickets, deals, those are the standard HubSpot objects. Obviously, you can create custom objects at the enterprise level, but this allows you to actually change the naming convention of your standard objects. This is huge. There are certain industries out there where that's actually quite a big deal. For example, in the .edu space, folks who work in higher ed, they don't really want to see contacts, they want to see students. If you're in the nonprofit space, they don't want to see companies, they want to see organizations. And so just being able to rename certain objects in your portal, make it more personalized, and again, will likely lead to greater adoption and make it a lot easier to kind of find your way in the portal. I will say this, with great power comes great responsibility. So I would just say be careful about this feature. This is a very powerful feature, the ability to rename objects. Just make sure you go about it very carefully and strategically, because there may be reports that are dependent on these objects. You may have all kinds of workflows built around it. So just be thoughtful about your approach, because it's easy to blow things up and make your CRM crazy. So work with an expert, or make sure you go about it very carefully when you think about using this feature.
This feature in particular, I just jumped into Slack to check with our head of development to see if changing the names of objects will actually break our integrations, which obviously is relevant to this crew. They haven't. All right. So Tyler got back to me. Our head of development got back to me. That will not break our integrations. So
Right.
so we should be good as long as the object ID doesn't change, and it shouldn't, just the name.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I would just, again, advise anybody, if you have an existing integration, right, with Integrate IQ, I would just talk to them, maybe make sure that they are in the know if you start renaming objects. It shouldn't break anything, but I think it's good for them just to be aware of some of these changes, because it is a pretty meaningful one.
Yeah.
And please, for the love of God, don't allow an intern to change objects on your behalf. Make sure you lock down permissions here for this. But the good news is it looks to be available really for all portals. This is not limited to professional or enterprise. It's even at the starter level, but it is in private beta. So keep in mind, when it's in private beta, and I actually don't know what the status is like today. It could be in public beta today. Maybe give somebody to check. It was in private when the deck was created. That means you can request access, and it takes some time before access is given, right? So keep that in mind, be patient. And also keep in mind that in private beta, sometimes if it feels like, again, the feature is not working as expected, they can, revoke access, or they could also shut down the beta temporarily. So keep that in mind. I don't want anybody to be disappointed if they don't see this feature available in their portal, but it is coming. It's a big deal for us. Beautiful. Looks like another
Quick question in chat. Does this mean HubSpot is working to expand the ability to use custom objects in things like?
sequences and templates. Megan, it's a good question. I'm not aware, but again, it would not surprise me if we were. So that'd be a good one, a good question to maybe to save here and get back to Megan afterwards.
Yeah.
I am not aware of us like, imminent plans to do this, but it would make sense that we're probably going to be doing this. Obviously, the ability to rename objects opens up all kinds of, possibilities. So I think it's very likely, Megan, but I cannot confirm at this moment. Okay. We have about 13 minutes left, so I'm gonna breeze through this, pun intended.
That's terrible.
Always happens here. I'm gonna make that joke 100 times. Okay, so again, Breeze is our suite of AI tools. So you may have heard about them before. There's different things about Breeze that we could talk about, but specifically what I want to talk about here is our agents. Our agents are something that we're very proud about. And we've talked about some of the content agent earlier. If you have the content hub, you have access to content agent, and this agent is the one that allows you to again create content, blog posts, landing pages, website content. Think of it as ChatGPT, but for inside HubSpot. Again, the thing is, make sure you use the brand identity and you set that up before you're just creating content, because it'll make content just way more personalized to your brand. So keep that in mind. But that's a great tool. Also, if you happen to be on an old SKU, so before Content Hub, we had CMS Hub. If you have CMS Hub, I do not think you'll have access to Content Agent. You need to upgrade to Content Hub. It should be a minimal price increase. So I think it's a great value if you don't already have it. But think about upgrading to Content Hub if you only have CMS Hub, because you won't have access to Content Agent. All right, but the two agents that I'm really super excited to talk to you all about today is the customer agent and the knowledge base agent. Both of these are currently available for Service Hub. So I'll do a quick demo and then we'll talk more about them, but they're a really interesting kind of flywheel motion that you can set up in your portal and use AI in a really kind of creative way. So let's go into our customer and knowledge base agent video here. That's the last one.
Hi, I'm Jessica Park, and I'm excited to show you how Breeze Customer Agent can level up your support team today. Breeze Customer Agent is an AI agent. It's an extension of your team and can resolve inquiries 24/7 and scale support across channels. We've been working really hard to make Customer Agent smarter, faster, and easier for you and your customers. Today, our customers are seeing it resolve 50% of their inquiries. Some are even seeing resolve up to 90% with high satisfaction scores. So now, when a visitor asks that all too familiar question, what is the status of my order? Instead of putting them on hold or connecting them to a human representative, Customer Agent is going to instantly connect with your third-party systems and provide a personalized response right away. So whether it's checking an order status or resetting your password, it's going to handle these requests automatically, freeing up your support team for more complex support needs. And Customer Agent should be up to date with your latest information, so you can easily train it using unstructured data like public URLs, PDFs, HubSpot content such as knowledge base, website, and blogs. But even better, you can now use Customer Agent to meet your customers where they are. We understand that customer service isn't always straightforward. Sometimes Customer Agent will need to pass off to a human team member. That's why we've created new handoff settings for you to decide when and how conversations are passed off, so that your visitors know exactly what to expect, whether that's an email follow-up or support ticket creation. But here's what makes Customer Agent truly special. It's always working to get better. It now actively identifies knowledge gaps and flags content that needs updating. Still, we know that keeping your knowledge base up to date is crucial but time-consuming. That's why we're introducing the all-new Knowledge Base Agent. Using the gaps that Customer Agent just identified, the Knowledge Base Agent is going to quickly draft content using ticket logs. That way, your team can spend time reviewing and refining content rather than starting from scratch. This seamless feedback loop helps you get up and running fast and easy, helping you scale your support team while maintaining high-quality customer service. No complex setup needed. Get immediate value from every support interaction with Breeze Customer Agent.
By the way, does anybody want that keyboard? I need to find out what that keyboard is. It looks incredible. It looks heavy. I love the way it sounds, right, Tim? Should we get one of those?
I
love
think what we need is to find the person that cleans that desk. And oh my gosh.
But yeah, so listen, I'm gonna get on my high horse here. If you need to have a customer agent in 2025, right? Like I just don't, and if you don't want to use HubSpot, that's okay with me. Just please set up some sort of customer agent on your website, because I guarantee you people are expecting it. And really all it is just another way to navigating your website. So, like some people are going to want to navigate and look through things, but if you can just interact with like a chat functionality to get answers to your questions, why wouldn't you? So please get a customer agent, HubSpot or otherwise, just get something like that for your website. There's just no excuses in 2025. So obviously, really cool tool, pro level for at Service Hub. As you can see, right, it can train the agent on your HubSpot content. But even if you're not hosted on HubSpot, you can give it a public URL. It will learn the content on that public URL. And if you happen to have like PDFs, files where you have information about your website, you can also train their agent on that. So again, even if you don't host any of your content on HubSpot, you can still train the agent accordingly and help it work for you. So just an absolute no-brainer. And then as she mentioned as well, the knowledge base agent. Now this one's in private beta. So again, it could be a little tricky to get access to it in the short term. But I love this, right? Because what it does is, so you do need to be using the Service Hub kind of ticket functionality and have like a support team interacting with individuals that way. But assuming that you do, right, what's going to happen is the tool is going to identify gaps in your knowledge base as it's interacting and reading through those ticket logs. And so it will identify articles. So for example, if people keep asking the questions like, hey, when is my shipment going to arrive? It's going to create that as a category, right? And then the agent will actually create the content on your behalf. And so you get this great flywheel effect where your service team is just doing their job, interacting with, with customers. And as you're just doing their job, the AI is collecting information about where their gaps are and then building the content around it. Now, obviously, right, hopefully I don't have to say it again, but I'll say it again. You want to review that content, make sure that, it's in good standing before you publish it. But at least it'll give you a place to start and continue feeding the customer agent. So I'm super excited about this one. All right, we've got about 6 minutes left here, so we'll go through the next few ones pretty quickly. No more videos for you all. We'll do next one here is prospecting agent. This is available for Sales Hub Pro. So you do need to have a seat of Sales Hub to take advantage of prospecting agent. This is another no-brainer if you're in a sales role, right? If you're in a sales role and you're doing any kind of prospecting, highly recommend that you turn on this agent. It is available for public beta, so you should be able to turn it on pretty easily. And what this will do is essentially help craft essentially like engagement sequences, right, with different prospects. And so when you hear prospecting agent, I don't love that term because it makes it seem like it's going to prospect for you, like find net new leads. It's not really that. What it does is you're going to have an existing list of contacts you want to prospect into, and the agent will help you do that more effectively. So for example, the agent will essentially come up with like a sequence or series of emails that are super personalized for the prospect that you're trying to target. And so research that company, find out if there are any like relevant news that happened for that company, and kind of see if it can kind of take your buying proposition and craft an email that sort of combines all those things together. The tool can work automatically, so literally you could just like let the agent loose on your database and just see what kind of meetings booked you can have, or you have the safer semi-automatic approach where essentially the tool will build sequences for you and then you have to approve them before hitting go. Again, there's a lot more to get into with this tool. Get it with Good IQ or get with your team to learn more about it. But this is just an absolute no-brainer, especially if you have Sales Hub. I would say like prospecting is one of the more tedious things to do as a BDR or as a salesperson, and this hopefully helps ease some of that pain. So that's the prospecting agent. A couple more here to to see us off. We've got research intent. This is a new feature out currently in public beta. This does require you to use Breeze credits, but this essentially will help you find target accounts that are researching topics related to your solutions. So this is kind of an amazing thing where you're able to find net new accounts that are researching, again, topics that you are an expert in or that you're selling around. And then, so you can have, this is located in the buyer intent section of your portal. You'll have this new kind of research tab in here. And then the process of bringing those accounts from the research into your portal to then prospect into, that will require spending some Breeze credits. But just keep that in mind. I believe this is my last update here for you all is smart properties. Really cool one. So this basically is, most properties at HubSpot are either the types of things that you're capturing on a form or you're capturing in some other way. Smart properties are essentially, think of them as, properties that are powered by AI. So for example, I built a smart property the other day that was like, hey, would you be able to, does this website have a .gov domain extension? Right? And so what it can do is you can create that property and it will research every account, determine what the extension is, the domain extension, and then say yes or no, does it .gov or not. That's just one example, but you can go deeper. You can say that this particular company sells shoes on their website. And the tool will essentially do some research on the website and return a value for that property. Again, it does require Breeze Intelligence credits to power this, but these are kind of like dynamic properties that are based on AI.
That is crazy intelligent. Amazing.
The future is here, folks. Okay, we're just at time. Again, the deck has even more features. And then the last thing I'll say, then I'll let Tim kind of wrap it up for us. But highly recommend you check out the Spring Spotlight. Again, we've scratched the surface of this. These are what I think are the most important. There's a lot more in here. And I actually love the way these videos were produced. And I don't say this about HubSpot every time, but I actually really like the way these demos were structured.
All right. First, I'd like to thank everybody that attended today. I hope you found this really informative and useful. I will be following up with an email that once I clean up the video, I'll send that out. I may not get it out today, but you can expect it in the next couple of days. I'll also include a couple other links in this. Guillaume, one of the requests that we had was sending out the deck with the video. I don't know if it can be shared or not, but
yep. Deck is
great.
Absolutely shareable. Yeah, we'll make it available to you all. No problem.
Super. All right, then I'll include that as well. So thank you all for attending. I hope you got a lot out of this. Guillaume, as always, you're amazing. I am just so grateful for
I just read through a deck. Come
here and do this. So thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Reach out if we can help.
Cheers.
Bye.